one thing we don't want to just bash this movie to pieces. There
Oh,
are
yeah,
positives.
yeah.
There are things. Because I know what happens with us. We'll get so balls deep in the negative, we forget there is a positive. Funny, I mean, it is a positive, but it's weird how. and I know we're meant to be in positive. We're positive adjacent.
I promise we're going to get out of the negative.
But we were trying to stay in the positives as well as. I think the real game here is how long can you stay in the positives? We have a little counter right here.
By the way, and this is the last nitpick before I get to my big.
Why tell lies? Why tell lies? This is the last one.
Like, it's a throwaway thing. I understand that, but we're nerds and we nitpick. We said we tried to be positive. We really did. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm sorry.
So I can help people out, and lo and behold, his generosity ended up paying off in dividends.
Yeah, it did. Okay, so we're live. Hello, welcome to Noobs in Progress. My name is Nathan, and here with me I have
Ethan Murphy, everybody's friend.
How you doing today, Ethan?
I gotta tell you, man, it's really, really good to say that it's been a while. It's been a long time.
Yeah,
since you and I have had. It's been. So here's the thing. It's been a long time since we've done a review, pretty much. It's also been a really long time since it's been just you and me, old school one-on-one. Yeah, because it's been forever. So I'm doing good, man. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. It's and not none of those. It's weird. I don't know. It's weird. It's not one of those days where I'm like, I'm doing fine.
Right.
So Ethan, do you want to tell the audience what we are doing today?
Yes. So we watched the movie WW84. Now I'm calling it WW84 because that's literally how it's written on the movie posters.
Yes.
It's Wonder Woman 84, aka Wonder Woman the sequel. Nate and I watched this film last couple weeks, and we're actually going to go ahead and have a full-blown, no holds barred review of it with spoilers.
I don't even know where to begin on this movie. It had a plot. That I will say, it had a plot. So
yes,
I'm gonna.
And you did, and you're comparing it now. I'll be blunt. You compared this movie to Amazing Spider-Man #2. Which should tell you a lot of things right there. And one thing you said was, you said, I will give it this. It does at least have a plot, unlike Amazing Spider-Man #2.
Yeah.
So that's both a compliment and a massive, massive put down at the exact same time.
The other thing it did that is frustrating to me, it continued the track record that DC films have had in the last decade, essentially, not counting the Batman films, Chris Nolan Batman films, but all of the others have pissed me off because the potential is there. Like, they have amazing ingredients. I don't know what happens in that kitchen, but what comes out makes McDonald's look like cuisine, like French cuisine. You know what I mean? Like,
yes. That's the perfect metaphor. One thing we don't want to just bash this movie to pieces. There are positives.
Yes.
So we can go ahead and do some little bit of good news first. Make sure we cover it. One thing I did like, and this is something you mentioned earlier, we were watching the movie together. The Dreamstone, the way it works, I guess he's meant to be the main bad guy.
Yeah.
Max Lord.
Yeah.
Which does sound like the Simpsons character, Max Power. Grabs the stone and actually wishes for the stone for himself to be the stone, essentially.
Yeah.
It's kind of a pretty interesting idea that he wanted to actually have the power within him, so he could go around and pretty much having people make wishes off of him and find a way to manipulate them through that. That is an interesting mechanic. I'll give the movie that.
One thing I found interesting was by getting the power of the stone, he could grant wishes the whole idea of the monkey's paw is it will grant you a wish, but there's always a drawback. There's always a negative. Like it'll give you what you want, but it takes something else. By him becoming the stone, he was able to control what was taken. He essentially got unlimited wishes. Each wish that he gets has an issue with it because it is related to that specific person.
But the problem was I had to watch the movie twice to get there, because the first time I saw it, none of us got that idea. We're like, oh, how is he doing this? Because the movie did not, in this 2.5 hour movie, they did not actually really say that and make that clear. They didn't clearly actually say what he was doing. You had to explain that to me. You actually did that. You actually drew diagrams for me. You actually you had charts, PowerPoint presentation, and it still took me a while to get there, but eventually you got me there. It's like, oh, okay, I got it. It is cool. I like that idea. It's like, wait a minute. If they are wishing upon you, then you get the power to do whatever you want with them in exchange. That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite stated clearly, but it was a cool idea.
Yeah, I agree. I like the idea. I can see what you're saying. It wasn't clear. And I think part of the reason it wasn't clear, the part where they revealed that aspect, I didn't catch what he said to the guy about how, I caught that he said, I'm going to take all your shares, but then he said something else that I didn't hear what it was. And then guys showed up to arrest him. When they showed it again, it was on the trip to the what I think is a wholly unnecessary portion of the movie in the Middle East. I realized what they were trying to do. I think they were trying to have the catalyst event to destabilize the world politics. Like that's what they were trying to do. The problem is it was so confusing that I spent the entire time thinking, okay, are they in Israel or are they in, because obviously they're doing an Israeli parallel, with the whole thing of I want my ancestral lands, but it doesn't sound like it. And a wall shows up. That part was weird. But the idea, I like the idea. I just wish it had been implemented differently.
You and I both enjoy the premise. It's pretty fun. That's pretty cool. Because also you think about the superhero they're dealing with is Wonder Woman, someone who's so OP powerful. You have to think outside the box as far as giving her someone to fight. Unless it's just literally another god of war, she has to fight someone that can battle her in a different way, that can hang with her in a different way.
Yeah.
A person that has the ability to grant wishes, which go beyond her, Diana's ability to directly combat, is pretty cool, pretty inventive. But the execution, you had Kobe beef.
Yeah.
Kobe beef, and you put detergent on it. They actually had good actors. So Pedro Pascal, regardless of the script he had to deal with, you believe that guy when he's like, with his emphasis, because he's basically a con man that's trying to do everything he can to show his validity to the world and even to himself. And you believe it. You believe everything he's saying and doing, especially in scenes with his son.
Yeah.
That kid, Alistair, my God, that kid is an amazing, phenomenal actor. And Kristen Wiig, who's also an amazing actress, I already discussed, part when she's, you and I joke where she confronts Columbo, aka Harvey Bullock, on the street the second time, and she's in a more darker tone. You believe it. You feel like, that person is just Kristen Wiig herself is portraying someone that is giving into her dark side, going Sith.
Yeah.
You buy it. I'll give it credit. They did have good performances, regardless, almost despite the script.
I think the acting in the film was probably its strongest point.
I think that because this was coming off of a home run hit movie like Wonder Woman, they said, hey, you guys just put as much content in as you want. We won't cut anything out. Just the more the merrier, more the better. And they probably should have gone that route. There should have been a lot of editing. There should have been a lot of like, wait, let's catch some things here. There may have been, at the same time, simultaneously, too many cooks in the kitchen and also not enough.
They were asking too much of the audience. And it is interesting too, because they were doing the tell me not show me in certain places,
right.
But then doing the show me not tell me in places where really it should have been the other way around.
I agree.
I am going to take a cheap shot at the movie. Okay, so you have to have the obligatory, okay, you've got a guy who's been dead for 60 years, magically come back to life. Let him marvel at the modern era. And they had him marvel at all the wrong stuff. Like,
this bothered you so much. I remember.
Oh, it was driving me insane. Like, he's looking at subways like they're God's miracle, but yet he's walking down the street and he's like, oh, okay. And think about this. In 1918, they're about where he died.
Right.
Cars were not really a thing.
Right.
They
were not.
They existed, but
yes.
they weren't everywhere. Only rich people had them.
Very, very seldom used. I know the war, they had them in the war to transport people and things like that, but it was still very, very sparse.
Yeah, like this was not a common device.
No.
And he's walking down the street just with like a little bit of awe, but kind of like, oh. But then he goes down into a subway, and I'm like, they had subways in New York.
The problem was, it wasn't even that he was marveling at these things, which is fair enough. That's a problem itself, but it's the fact that they were building him up to be marveling at these things so much before he got to the Smithsonian. So once he's in the Smithsonian and they're seeing the space program, he's just like, oh, you did it. You did it, you clever bastards. As opposed to like, he should have been literally crying there. Instead, he was actually crying when he saw the subway. And you seen that scene twice. He's crying looking at the subway.
I didn't catch that. So the guy who's obsessed with flight gets all misty-eyed for an underground tunnel. Okay. And I think the reason it bothered me so much is, I'll admit, partially it's because I'm a history nerd, and so when that kind of stuff happens, I'm like, there were two problems with it in my mind. One is what you said, where they started him up here, so he really had nowhere to go. So he kind of, when they got to the rocket, he was kind of like, oh, this is nice, you know.
He literally was like that.
Which they blew that, I think. The other thing that they did that I hate when movies do this is I got the impression that they were like, nobody's going to care. It's fine. Like, it's just, we'll just show some scenes of him of him marveling at modern society, and they won't think about the fact that he would have seen these things.
So for me, the reason that bothers me is because I'm not a history nerd. I'm a nerd, yes, a history nerd. But the reason they bother me is because I am a writing nerd and a storytelling nerd. They squander the opportunity to build up his character more by him actually having some of these revelations could have also been stunning or shocking or kind of been too much overwhelming too. They lost the opportunity for him to actually properly adjust or acclimate to the world that's way beyond him. They didn't do that at all. That's what bothered me.
And the other piece, and you brought up him coming back. Like, why did they have to put him into another person's body? Why did it just pick a random dude? I think it would have made more sense just to have him appear, and I think that also would have been more interesting rather than having him randomly show up at a party. And this is again the thing where the movie was asking too much of the audience.
I agree.
Because it was basically saying, okay, so no, he really still looks like this guy, but to Diana, he looks like Steve Trevor. So we're just going to have him look like Chris Pine, and you're just going to forget the fact that everybody else, when they look at him, they see this other guy who isn't as famous.
That, I think, out of everything in this insane movie, that is the one thing that will always come back to, as far as like, that's the Paul Giamatti of this movie. The thing that just doesn't in and of itself make any damn sense.
Yeah.
Why would they choose to put him in the body of this guy who's still alive? Why would they literally put him in the body of this guy and have Diana basically say, fuck the world, fuck you, and fuck your past life guy. I'm gonna keep my boyfriend trapped inside you and have you as my sex toy, and no one can stop me. It's like, wait a minute. But it's just a curious decision that they made.
Yeah.
This is something else. I'm gonna nitpick this real quick, and then we can move on to other bigger things. The idea of Diana somehow now having the ability to make things invisible. That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That's a ludicrous power. Do you understand that? That's a ludicrous power.
Mm-hmm.
And she casually brings it up real quick while they're in the jet that Chris Pine knows how to fly for some reason. And she makes the jet invisible. That one power is there and done, and that's it. Like I mentioned to you before, they could have easily had that scene showing her trying to do something invisible, making the coffee cup go invisible and losing it. It'd be a fun little thing, fun little Easter egg. And the fans, the nerds that know Wonder Woman say, oh, that could be fun if they're using that to set up the idea of the jet later on, set up and payoff. At least would have made sense that when she does it later on, it doesn't seem like such a random ass pull.
Yeah.
It bothered me because it's so so overwhelmingly bizarre,
Mm-hmm.
and also again treated so casually. They treat the
Mm-hmm.
casual like it's amazing, and they treat the amazing like it's casual
Yeah.
in this movie a lot.
And I think another one of those is Kristen Wiig,
Yeah,
in the fight scenes and the way she evolved in the later part of the film. I'm fine with the White House bit. The fight scene I had issues with just because the fight
sure.
scene was essentially Wonder Woman just trying to keep everybody safe, which again
Yeah.
felt very tone deaf to me. It's like it's like, no, it should have been her and Kristen Wiig just wailing on each other. And maybe every now and again her going, oh, that guard's going to die. I need to save him, or something like that. But the fact that she's like whipping chairs so that way he lands on a soft cushion, it just felt really weird. But then that transition to full on crazy cat lady, but like
Oof.
really crazy cat lady, that was another piece where it felt like, yes, you can explain it, but you have to go through you have to think about it to figure it out.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
there's a lot of dots they did not connect for that to happen.
It was just like them revealing that while he could grant a wish, he also could take something. The fact that they didn't clearly establish that, this is just another example of that. But he's essentially going, okay, I'm going to grant your wish, but I'm going to take your power. I'm going to take your life force. I'm going to take this. And he was taking it for himself, but then he makes and it's a throwaway line, your power to her. And she became a full on crazy cat lady.
And they kind of really undercut her actual full transformation or whatever. Her character was more that she was sidelined to just be a hench woman for Max Lord, and so that transformation, the idea, the scene of her actually getting her power should have been a much more prolific thing, as opposed to it just like, oh, I'm standing over here next to this pillar. Oh, by the way, you get this. Cool, I got you. It's like, no,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
I'm actually fine with that conceit of him being able to grant wishes, him being able to take something in return. And I'm fine with him being able to take something in return and pass it to somebody else, because that makes sense, because he's a freaking wish stone. He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yes.
So I'm fine with that. But the fact that it was done in a throwaway line where it could have been an established scene where he's taking the wishes and she comes up to him and she's like, hey, you got anything for me? And he, like obviously better written than that. And he goes, okay, shoom, 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 foom. And then watch her transformation.
Yes, exactly like that. But the idea too of, I mean, it's a film. You've seen plenty of Spielberg movies. One thing they do really well in Spielberg movies is the slow reveal, as they call it. So more or less, as she's saying, I would like to be an apex predator. He has a grin on his face. He's like, okay, I got you. He kind of starts throwing wishes at her, and you just see like her ankle or her calf getting bigger. You see like her back like broadening essentially. You see the slow parts of her transformation, but don't see the full thing. Then you save the full reveal for when she's fighting Diana.
They're causing us to have to make these mental leaps. Now, I will say, we don't have to. Like, we could have done what my wife did and just watched it.
Of course she did.
And she was just basically like, oh, that was a fun little thing, a little weird. Yeah, they made some stupid decisions, but okay, I enjoyed it. And that's it. And she goes on. And that's the way probably most of the people did. The problem for me is, like, this is a character. This is a, to me, this is an opportunity to do something awesome with awesome actors, awesome directors and writers, and
I'll agree.
And craftsmen and just amazing people who can put an entire film together. And they put it together, and it felt so off. And I'll go to my big thing. My big thing for this film that drives me absolutely bananas is the whole conceit at the end of the film where she's like, everyone, you need to renounce your wish. And everybody on the planet who made a wish through his contraption, weird satellite touching thingy, because
it's not a whole thing there.
We won't even go
touches
there.
People.
We
don't
already
have time for that. We don't have time for that. Fair.
Yeah, I don't even know if I have enough nerd energy to get there.
I don't think.
But the fact that that she basically is like, you need to renounce your wish, and no, I'm talking to them. I'm sorry. There are raging, gaping assholes in this world that will not do anything for anybody else.
No.
And the fact that this movie wants me to believe that everybody on the planet would see that golden light in the screen and go, okay, yeah, I guess I don't need this $1 million. Like,
you're going the negative direction. That we have raging assholes that make all kinds of horrible. These wishes can be horrible. You have people say they show a person who makes a wish to kill his wife. There could be some other ones that are actually positive. There could be a person that's like, please take away my cancer.
Yeah.
And you're saying, no, renounce it. You're cheating. That's cheating.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Give me back my cancer. It's like, we're getting into some weird waters here, Jeff Johns and Patty Jenkins writers. So it's that's why it's like, come on, I don't know. This is a weird way to go. And there's one last detail. They are very, very, very much saying that everyone on this planet speaks English. And
I didn't even catch that. That's my Anglo-Americo-centric Americo. Wow.
Words are fun when you make them up on the fly. We're now in an era where there are superhero movies featuring supermodels with super duper budgets. And we're able to complain about them online.
Yes.
And people listen.
Yes.
So it's just, we have to be aware and conscious of our privilege too. You know.
Yeah, we have an embarrassment of riches, and I think I think it's nice that you point that out, because we forget. Like, we sit here and we're like, oh geez, we wish that could have been better, that could have been amazing. But the fact that we even got a Wonder Woman movie that was good in the first one is unfreaking believable. Like, and you know, how many Batman movies do we have that are just, you know, like really good, you know, and Superman, I'm going to pass on that. But with X-Men, we've got a couple of X-Men, but my point stands, you know, we have an embarrassment of riches right now. And I think the function of what we're doing here is just kind of pointing out when we do see that they missed the mark, and we try to be positive, and you know, but sometimes you just want to sit there and complain, and that's what we did tonight. And I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Yes, and the last thing I'll just say, now that we can end the night, is just that we're complaining because we care.
Yeah,
we do value the character, we do value the franchise, we do value the actors and people involved in the movie. We want to see it shine as bright as it possibly can.
I think you're right. And I think that's a good note to end on. So that about does it for tonight. I hope you all enjoyed us talking about WW84, Wonder Woman 84, however they want us to say it. So be sure to check us out on YouTube, check us out on Twitch. You can check out our podcast. We have another show, Creativity in Progress. We also have a couple of new shows coming to the network very soon. We'll have more news on that coming in the coming weeks. And so thank you everybody for joining us today, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day.
At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more.